Panie, my uprzejmie zapytujemy, kiedy pan minister opracuje normy zanieczyszczeń dla środowiska odnośnie zanieczyszczeń gazami?
Można wyciągnąć
Ustawa antydrogowa powstaje.
za 3 lata, tak jak pan
Ja powiedziałem, że terminie trzeba.
Could you please tell us what are your concerns?
Pierwszy problem to jest koncentracja przemysłu szkodliwego dla środowiska, a więc przemysłowe fermy tuczu, zakłady utylizacyjne.
Ja chcę czyste powietrze, żeby nie śmierdziało, żeby moja wnusia żyła w czystym powietrzu, zdrowo, tak? Żeby mogła żyć naprawdę zgodnie z przyrodą i żeby nie było korupcji, wszystkiego, tylko nie korupcji.
I'm Tracy Worcester, and I've lived in the countryside most of my life. But whether it's in Britain or abroad, I've seen small family farms going bankrupt because of the arrival of giant factory farms. For years, I've campaigned against the destruction of rural livelihoods and to improve animal welfare. So these pigs have been foraging, getting rid of the bracken in a National Trust wood. This film is the story of my 4-year exploration into the global pig business, a journey which goes from the UK to the USA, South America, Poland, Holland and Hungary, to find out where and how pork is produced, who wins and who loses. But you'll be lucky to find any of this information on the label. Thick pork sausages. But you can look everywhere on the packet. There is no indication where it comes from. Though you can buy high welfare pork in some UK supermarkets, if you want to pay less for your high welfare pork while paying your farmer a fair price and keeping your money in the local economy, it's best to go to your local farmer's market.
They know the quality of the product because we have a direct relationship with our customers. If they don't like what we sell them, they'll come back next week and tell us.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's marvelous. You should care.
For stallholder Mike King, the secret of producing top-quality pork lies in the humane treatment of his animals.
I think pigs, they're such intelligent, sort of inquisitive animals. They need to be active all day long, searching for roots and grubs and things like that. Whereas pigs in concrete boxes, they've got nothing to do all day long. They're totally bored. It's one of the reasons why I left that more intensive farming and decided to keep them like this.
The intensive farming Mike referred to was pioneered in America, and it's the way most supermarket pork is produced. Early in my inquiry, I met up with veteran animal welfare campaigner Tom Garrett, who's opposed intensive livestock production ever since it began.
What we have, I think, is the application of industrial systems that were designed to build cars and build machines to living creatures.
It's infinitely cruel in my mind, and no civilized society, whatever civilized society means, ought to countenance it. Sows, for example, are subjected to confinement in a very narrow cage, so narrow they can't even turn around during gestation.
Workers in these installations cease to regard the animals even as alive, I think. They become habituated to cruelty, and eventually they become genuinely brutalized.
I believe such cruelty happens when pigs are seen not as animals, but as an industrial raw material. But the more I've looked into industrial farming, the more I've come to believe that it's bad for our food, our health, and the livelihoods of rural communities. America's industrial pig farmers copied the chicken industry by cramming thousands of animals into a confined space. There are sometimes as many as 10,000 pigs in buildings like this, their waste dropping through a slatted floor.
It's a
I met Rick Dove, former lawyer and Army colonel turned fisherman, who campaigns for clean water in North Carolina, where there are hundreds of factory pig farms.
It's the way they get rid of their waste that's really most problematic. The hogs dump their feces and urine on the floor. It goes under the hog house out to a lagoon. I mean, there's no beautiful women in bathing suits by any of these lagoons. But it goes out to the lagoon and then they slop it on the fields. And then it runs off into these drain pipes they have underneath the fields. It runs off into the ditches and it goes right down to our streams, creeks, and rivers. And it's full of nitrogen. It's basically untreated waste. There are 10 million hogs in this small area. And see, those 10 million hogs are producing more fecal waste each and every day than 100 million people.
In 2003, when the US government introduced new controls on spraying pig waste, it was estimated that 80% of the farms in the USA at the time were in breach of the new regulations. And in 2004, a scientific study found that many older lagoons in North Carolina were leaking waste and contaminating the water table.
It came out and tested my water, and in a couple of days, I got a letter telling me not to drink my water, don't bath in my water, don't cook with it.
My feeling is if the big industrial producers, gosh, there's a whole bunch of them. I think Smithfield's the largest. But if all of these big guys who have industrialized this practice were made to pay the full cost of environmental protection and disposing of their waste, any family farmer in America, any family farmer in this world, I think, could outcompete them at the marketplace.
One man who studied the scientific literature is Dr. David Wallinger.
The risks that have been most studied are definitely the risk to people working inside the facility. And there is an extensive amount of science that really goes into some detail about how a pretty large percentage of the people working in these facilities, whether it's hogs or chickens, will come down with chronic sinus infections, asthma, bronchitis, and other respiratory diseases that are related to this mixture that they're breathing in.
Y trabaja uno 12 días y descansa 2. Pues lo que me ha afectado son los ojos y luego pues a veces quiere dar vómito. Eso es todo lo que a mí me ha...
The first thing to realize when you're talking about the gases that come out of a big confined swine operation is that it's really a toxic brew, that there's so many volatile gases mixed in with dust, bacteria, and antibiotics, and they're all mixed together in a very, very complex mixture of some 300 or even 400 different substances. So that's what one is exposing a neighbor or a family or a child to.
There's flies on the side of the house, all around the doors, all around the windows, great big greasy-looking flies. I have been to the allergy clinic for my allergies from this, trying to breathe. And it makes my eyes run, it makes my eyes puffy, it makes my nose run, it makes my throat sore.
When it's spraying, it just cuts your breath off. And you get like phlegm in your throat, your eyes start running, you know, and you just get a headache, you know, and you just really almost, I guess, just get angry because you can't breathe.
Throughout the 1990s, small farmers in America campaigned against the growth of big farms.
Food has become a major profit-generating commodity and has spread onto a global playing field where food producers, workers, and consumers are reduced to pawns, manipulated by giant corporations.
During the 1990s, large-scale meat processors bought up livestock farms. This vertical integration allowed the corporations to control the whole process from farming and slaughtering to packaging. The factory farms were now the main buyers of pigs. And as the price paid for pigs fell, many small farmers went bust. One survivor was Paul Sobocinski.
They wanted to control the market, and they wanted to control about how livestock production was going to be raised, and they wanted to take more of the profits from production agriculture, take the profits the farmers made as independent producers and put them in their pocket. My tipping point, I think, was when I saw hogs go down to $8 a hundredweight in this country, worse than the Depression in the 1930s. And I saw that pain, I saw that happen to farmers, that I knew that we had to fight back, that we had to stand up, or they were just going to roll over and take democracy, our freedom.
Why is it when people are in bondage to their government, it is called tyranny? But when the oppressor is a multinational corporation, it is called efficiency.
One such company was Smithfield Foods of America, the world's largest pig producer and processor, with annual sales of almost $12 billion. It processes 27 million pigs a year, employs over 52,000 people, and from its US base has expanded to 15 countries. In 2006, I was refused permission to interview their chief executive, Joe Luter. However, to my delight, in 2008, they granted me an interview. Okay, so I'm just off to Smithfield to interview Dennis Tracy, who's their environmental waller, an attorney. Terrifying. They must absolutely loathe me, but I'm sure they'll be extremely polite, and they will reject every single thing that I say. Tracy was there.
Hi, Dennis Tracy. How are you?
Okay.
Welcome to Smithfield. I want to say I really appreciate you all coming here and talking to us. I mean, I know that you may not agree with what we do, but we really take pride in what we think we're doing, and I appreciate you giving us the shot to at least talk to you about it.
In my experience, people would like to have pork that has had as humane life as possible, from small farmers sustaining rural livelihoods, lively in country economy.
I think the common misconception that a lot of folks have is that companies like Smithfield go into our conference room and have a big discussion about how we're going to dominate the market and run people out of business and then sell our wares to the marketplace, and that just isn't so. We are responding to what our customers ask for, which is large quantities of meat products in a very short period of time, and they want it in a particular cut in a particular fashion.
You're talking about the retail outlets. That's your customer.
Yes, not the consumer. No. I'm talking about the customer, either the grocery store or the restaurant, whoever it may be.
Robert Kennedy Jr., nephew of President Kennedy, has sued Smithfield for polluting the rivers and criticized them for monopolistic control over pork production.
The destruction of the small farm wasn't casual, it's systematic. It is the intention, it's the way that they make money, it's the design of this industry. Once a company owns both the slaughterhouse and some of the farms, it destroys the capacity of the farmers to organize and to form those cooperatives. And ultimately, it's the end of the independence of farmers. And they're no longer what we call farmers in this country, they're what they call serfs in Europe. They are no longer in control of their own lives.
Smithfield is one of the biggest food companies in America, and like many big companies, is a regular contributor to politicians in the states where it operates. You said that you're not trying to interfere with politics, and yet you seem to give a lot of money to politicians who support your position, and they've changed the law to suit the pig industry's position.
Political contributions are not common. They are the way of life in American government. It's part of the American system, which is know your representative, make sure your representative knows not only you and your family, but your company and your business, so that as they make decisions, they're aware of the impact of the decisions they're making may have on that company or that community or that person. I think it would be I think if you ask any politician here whether they have been purchased by Smithfield Foods, their answer would be no.
One of the few members of Congress whose positions are not tainted by the influence of corporate money is Dennis Kucinich.
The problem with the American democratic system at the moment is that there's overwhelming corporate influence. It influences almost every decision made in Washington. It influences that we have continuing war. It influences that Wall Street has extraordinary sway in Washington. It influences our energy policy, our tax policies. And only a constitutional amendment that would ban private money in public elections would save the country from drifting towards a type of fascism that is being visited upon us by large corporations who want government all to themselves.
All of the great political leaders from the beginning of our national history have been warning the American public against the domination by corporate power. Teddy Roosevelt, who was a Republican, said that America would never be destroyed by a foreign enemy, but he warned that our political institutions would be subverted by malefactors of great wealth who would steal them from within. Abraham Lincoln, the greatest Republican in American history, said during the height of the Civil War, I have the South in front of me, and I have the bankers behind me, and for my country, I fear the bankers more. And Franklin Roosevelt said during World War II that the domination of government by corporate power is, quote, the essence of fascism. And Benito Mussolini, who of course had an insider's view of that process, said essentially the same thing. He complained that fascism should not be called fascism, it should be called corporatism, because it was the merger of state and corporate power.
Opposition from farmers and environmentalists to the growth of factory farming had considerable successes. In 2001, North Carolina banned processors from buying livestock farms, and also banned new-build factory farms from installing the lagoon and spray system. Around this time, many agribusinesses started to look abroad. Smithfield turned their attention to countries destined to join the EU, namely Poland and then Romania, where land and former state farms were relatively cheap, labour costs low, and regulations poorly enforced. In Poland, Smithfield bought the former state-owned slaughterhouse, Animex, followed by 21 state farms. Its managing director explained why.
We are in the farming business because we want to make money on it, yeah? And we believe that this has a great future. First of all, we are by far the biggest farmers in Poland. Secondly, we believe that Poland is a great opportunity for let's say, a foothold to get into the European market.
In Poland, the arrival of big foreign factory farms coincided with a change in the law, which reclassified the definition of pig feces from sewage to fertilizer. This enabled the farms to use spraying techniques like this, common in America. In 2003, Robert Kennedy Jr. went to Poland to warn them of the dangers of the American style of industrial pig farming.
I feel the responsibility to come here and warn Poland that they're going to try to get away with something in Poland that people in the United States now recognize is a catastrophe.
The arrival of factory farming in Poland was controversial. The Polish Senate's Agricultural and Environmental Committee held a hearing to investigate it. They invited evidence from both Kennedy and from Smithfield.
Adopting the Polish system of production to meet these challenges requires capital inputs for the upgrade and modernization of both farms and plants.
20 years ago, there were 27,500 independent hog farmers in the state of North Carolina. Today, they've been completely replaced by 2,200 hog factories, 1,600 of them either owned or operated by Smithfield Foods. Smithfield controls 85% of the hog production in the state. And every factory that's built gets rid of 10 traditional family farmers and replaces those jobs with 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs to workers who work in the plants. We produced in our country more pigs in 1918 than we do today. But there were many farmers sharing in the bounty of that production. These facilities sicken the people who live downwind. Neighbors complain that they can no longer hang their laundry, or sit on their porch during the summertime, or plow their fields without becoming sick. There's now a moratorium on the construction of hog lagoons in the state of North Carolina. So here is a company that is coming to Poland and promising to modernize agriculture in Poland with a system that has been banned in the place where it was invented.
In the same year that Kennedy visited Poland, a government report was published, which showed that all 14 Smithfield farms inspected had violated environmental, construction, health and veterinary regulations by failing to dispose of the waste, failing to look after their employees' health and safety, and the improper storage of dead animals.
As in all companies in the world, we are making mistakes, but we are not, we are correcting the mistakes as soon as we make them.
In 2004, I decided to go to Poland to see the impact of the new foreign factory farms and the lagoon and spray system on the Polish environment, rural life, and the quality of its food, which was destined for consumers all over Europe. I started in northwest Pomerania, where there are a large number of farms that used to be owned by the Polish state. In Boszkowo, I heard locals' complaints of what happened to children who'd swum in the nearby lake.
No takie normalnie po prostu takie jako odwrócenie czy coś takiego. Czerwone się robi, bo nic drapie się i to po prostu...
Red skin, they got red skin.
Nie ma tak jak było powiedzmy nawet 2 lata temu, gdzie się łowiło ryby i było zielsko, tak w tej chwili nie ma. Ryby nie tak. Ona dosłownie dzień leży, za 2 godziny ona już jest nie do brania. Ona się po prostu rozchodzi. Śmierć, tego źrani nie lubi zjeść.
Czyli te ceny nagle spadły na żywiec, nie?
Do tego stopnia, że nikt krowie nie chowa ani świnie, a pole stoi utłoczone. Takie teraz rząd. To jeszcze my, to jeszcze, ale teraz te nasze dzieci, to nie wiem co będzie.
What will happen without children?
Roboty nie ma nigdzie.
No job.
Wszystko bez robocie i te dzieci chodzą, muszą kraść. No, wszystko chodzi i roboty nie ma nigdzie. Zapowiada się taka bieda, że będzie złodziej na złodziejuje.
Okay. By now I wanted to see inside one of the factory farms. One person and no camera. Okay, why don't you want the camera there? I'd like her to follow and take a picture of the pigs inside the ventilation shaft.
You from there, will you?
Yeah, quickly before anybody comes. Unable to get an authorised picture of conditions inside any of Smithfield's Polish farms, a broken air vent was an inviting opportunity. The barren, slatted floor prevents the application of straw, and so deprives the pigs of their natural rooting behaviour, and allows the toxic gases from the biodegrading faeces below to sicken the pigs, workers and neighbours.
Co Państwa tak interesuje tutaj?
I think we should skedaddle. Shall I run with that? Where? Well, we don't want them to take our camera. Let's go. Let's leave. I wasn't allowed to film inside a farm, but I was granted an interview with the Smithfield manager, and I asked him what he thought of complaints from local people of illnesses from the farm's activities.
I can understand that smell, but we are not aware about any illness or sicknesses of local people. If this is harmful, probably our employees who work with pigs, they should be dead already.
Though I wasn't able to film inside a factory farm, after a tip-off, in 2005 an undercover team from Compassion in World Farming filmed at a Smithfield farm, showing what was in the stinking cesspit they called a lagoon.
Is there a bigger stick?
Take them out.
Smithfield responded to these pictures by saying it was physically impossible for dead pigs to get into the lagoon, and they would never tolerate disposing of them in this way. And they also claim that local officials, after an investigation, concluded that the pigs found did not come from their farm. Later in the same year, another team from Compassion in World Farming managed to get inside one of Smithfield's farms at the village of Wiskowice. Pigs in factory farms are usually raised on bare slats, but even on straw they don't look healthy.
Some really lame ones in there as well.
I asked Smithfield about these pictures, and they said that their pigs' health and welfare are their top priorities, and their Polish farms either conform to or exceed EU regulations. Although I've asked them twice, with regard to these particular pictures, they say that the allegations and the events described are absolutely false. Richard Young is a livestock farmer and leading expert on the effects of the overuse of antibiotics in industrial farming.
One of the big weaknesses of the system is a heavy dependence on antibiotics and the fact that that causes infections which can spread from animals to humans, such as Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter, and even MRSA. And in the Netherlands, for example, where the most research has been undertaken, 40% of their pigs are carrying a strain of MRSA that can pass to humans. It's been spread rapidly on the pig farms because the antibiotics that are being put in the pig feed are actually selecting for it. That means they kill off the other bacteria which might provide some natural competition, but they don't kill off the MRSA because the MRSA is resistant. Meat which may appear very cheap is in fact very, very expensive, and in some cases that could be at the cost of our own lives.
We haven't had a new type of antibiotic, a new class of antibiotics for more than a decade now, and it's very difficult to see that we're going to find new antibiotics that would have the same effect as ones that we've had in the past, such as penicillin, which has saved millions of lives down the years. There just isn't that level of research into finding new agents. So I think we have to be more careful with the ones that we have now and how we're forcing the evolution of these strains, such as these MRSA strains, to become increasingly resistant to the antibiotics that we have, because there won't be anything left in the cupboard in a few decades down the line, which may really point to a less intensified system of farming where body mass increases are not the prime driver. It's not all economics, and we are having a long view in terms of human health.
The next year, 2006, I was back in Wisławice after I heard about a campaign by local people against the pig farm, which is right next to the village primary school. In North Carolina, you couldn't put 250 pigs within 750 meters of a school, but here there are 12,000 pigs.
Szkoła jest oddalona od fermy około 150 do 200 metrów i najbliższym jest obiektem właśnie od tej fermy. I te dzieci często właśnie miały jakieś katary, jakieś łzawienie ucz, jakieś choroby alergiczne nawet.
Jak zaczęły się żniwa, to nie mogliśmy otwierać okien i wychodzić na przerwy. Wszyscy się źle czuli, jak wracali do domu.
There was a scientific study of the impact of the odours from the Wisławice farm done 3 years earlier by Dr. Zbigniew Hallet, an epidemiologist who had been Deputy Minister for Health and Chief Sanitary Inspector in 3 separate governments.
We found that those who live in closer distance from this meat factory suffer more from headaches, from sneezing, from stuffed nose, from running eyes, burning eyes, from neurological, respiratory and intestinal diseases, just because of being so much exposed to the noxious gases.
Well, there's a lot of problems with polluted water systems. People who live very, very near the factory farms that you now own, that are suffering from respiratory problems, asthma, dizziness, vomiting.
I don't know about that. I'm here in the U.S. I have been to Poland on numerous occasions. I have met with various officials. I am unaware of anybody with that specific malady. I'm sure you can find someone who believes that they are harmed by most anything, and I don't disparage them. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but anecdotal information like that, and it doesn't do me much good. I need to know, are we somehow or another out of compliance with a permit, or are we somehow or another doing damage, I would suggest that our systems are in place in Poland to do just what they do here in the U.S., which is to prevent any sort of water pollution issue, and that's how they're designed.
10 years of Smithfield activities in Poland has shown the Agriculture Minister for the Law and Justice Party the true cost of intensive pig farming.
Wiele ferm funkcjonuje skażając środowisko, produkując żywność kiepskiej jakości, nie respektując przepisów weterynaryjnych, sanitarnych, dobrostanu zwierząt i tylko dzięki temu są względnie konkurencyjne. Polskie prawo musi być poprawione w tym względzie i precyzyjnie, zdecydowanie respektowane.
So it seems that economic development is not being determined by the needs of people, but by the need for companies to grow and compete in the global market. And believe it or not, you and I are helping to fund this. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is funded by governments, lent Smithfield $25 million to facilitate another $75 million from private banks.
Smithfield benefited from a $100 million loan that was organized by the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. This is taxpayers' money that's being applied to the expansion of Smithfield.
We have a mandate, and this mandate is to promote transition in the former communist countries. We are not driven only by financial profit, but because we are driven by trying to set the way, basically trying to have a catalyst effect. And in that way, bring along with us then the private banks.
The whole mission of the European Bank has been to industrialize Central and Eastern European agriculture. No question about that, and that has the effect of pushing out small farmers and independent farmers, and also the effect of opening it up to take over by foreign corporations.
Polish agriculture at the moment is not productive enough. Small farms are too small to be competitive. And this is a fairly successful company that potentially will be able not only to provide products to the consumers in Poland at adequate quality and prices, but also to export from Poland the products to the rest of Europe.
So the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development has government officials from 60 countries on its board. So it sets the development pattern. But for who? For you and I, the electorate, the consumer, or for giant corporations and the private banks that invest in them?
I moim zdaniem to jest również przejaw pewnej nieuczciwej konkurencji w stosunkach międzynarodowych. Polscy rolnicy produkujący żywność znacznie wyższej jakości, lepsze, mają o wiele większe problemy i trudności z dostępem do łatwych, tanich kredytów na rozwój swoich gospodarstw, czyli tu konkurencja nie jest równoprawna. Śmiem twierdzić, że ta konkurencja jest konkurencją zaburzoną.
So this taxpayer-funded restructuring and modernisation effectively means the end to family farming, which produces good animal husbandry, good quality food, satisfying work and protects the environment.
Górę i potem tu w tym śrutowniku się mieszalnika i jest swoja pasza, nie? To znaczy śruty, pszenicy, żyta, zmieszanych różnych. Potem się dodaje czy ziemniaki, czy zielone. W zależności od pory roku, co wytworzymy na tym gospodarstwie. To są naturalny sposób karmienia świń.
Unlike Alicia's homegrown food, industrial farming demands an industrial scale production of animal feed.
You have to be competitive, and I don't think you can really be competitive on a small farm producing your local feed in a way your grandfather has been doing, and still being able to produce it in a competitive way to the big companies like ours.
Cargill is one of the world's biggest suppliers of pig feed, one of the main ingredients of which is soya, and much of this comes from South America. including the Amazon rainforest. Here, as in Poland, small farmers pay the price of industrialization, provoking widespread protest.
Isso dá uma tristeza muito grande na gente, por saber que tudo aquilo que a gente gosta de conviver, até amar é uma palavra muito mais profunda, né? Mas que a gente gosta de conviver, está sendo destruído, menos para ajudar um outro povo, mais para dar comida para bicho.
Que este povo ele seja solidário a nós e que dê basta nesse consumo dos produtos que são oriundos da Amazônia, principalmente, soja.
In 2006, following pressure from their customers in Europe and Greenpeace, Cargill and other key traders agreed not to purchase soya from newly deforested areas in the Amazon. But there's still over 1 million hectares of soya grown in the Amazon, depriving local people of land and exposing animal and plant life to pesticides. Back in Poland in 2006, at a conference to discuss sustainable economic development in the EU, I found villagers demonstrating against the health and social impacts of factory farming. Inside, I heard, yet again, about the thinking behind the shift from local communities to global economies.
What is going to happen in rural areas in Poland, I can tell you that. There is the area of reforming the agricultural activities. And then there is the issue of what do we do with the people that eventually are being set free, because agriculture is getting more productive and people will not be able to work there anymore. So what we are trying to do is to develop alternative activities to help the rural areas to become, well, I'm not saying competitive, but to become economically viable.
Chciałbym tą satysfakcję na rolnictwie robić. Tylko to jest, że tak nie ma opłacalności, nie? A te hale ci stoją. Zobacz, te hale ci stoją. Widzisz tutaj, nie?
To co oni tam robią? They're making parts for cars.
Wow, I suppose that's development. Come on, boys, get off the land and get a job making car parts. The foreign retailers came to Poland in the early 90s and provided a growing market for industrially produced pork. Outside one supermarket, a disgruntled customer told me what he thought.
O! Smakowo się. Nic w smaku. Tak jakby wszystko było na czymś robione. Stacje te chemikalia.
Here in Poland, that people prefer meat from such a small farms. People know that I have to apologize for the word that I will use, but people knows that the meat from pig factories is bullshit. It's horrible what's Prima doing, because it's abnormal.
A local pig farmer explained how powerless he felt after the invasion of industrial agriculture.
My nie mamy żadnego wpływu na to, że ta firma nam szkodzi. Nawet na dobrą sprawę nie mamy gdzie się poskarżyć, że ta firma robi nam krzywdę. No, a to wynika tylko z tego, że ta firma jest duża, że jest ogromna. Gdyby ona była mniejsza, pewnie jej wpływy byłyby mniejsze. Właśnie to bardzo dobrze to powiedział. To jest ta ogromna korporacja, która gdzieś tam przyjechała. Dla nas to jest dosłownie, to jest inwazja. No. To jest pająk, który siedzi na całej kuli ziemskiej. Widać, w jaki sposób, czym jest ta globalizacja. To jest coś ogromnego, które wysysa soki z tej ziemi, z ludzi. To jest taki ogromny pająk, pasożyt taki, który żeruje tutaj na nas.
In 2008, Polish farmers were on the streets again.
Będziemy żądali zamknięcia tych dużych ferm w Polsce, no i tego dzikiego importu.
Oczywiście dzisiaj największym problemem w produkcji trzody chlewnej jest największa korporacja na świecie, jaką jest Smithfield Woods, który przejął polski Animex w roku 99.
30% niżej cen kosztów produkcji dostajemy teraz. Czyli dokładamy z własnych kieszeni, żeby sprzedać, żeby utrzymać nasze rodziny, to musimy, nie wiem skąd, teraz musimy chyba jechać do Anglii albo do Irlandii, zarabiać, wszystko pozamykać.
Nie wiem, czy pójdę na emeryturę, czy się powieszę, czy co zrobię, czy wyjadę.
UK pig farmers were also demonstrating against unfair competition from cheap imports.
We already know in this country we've lost 40% of the herd in the last 10 years. And I think if this continues and we don't get support, particularly from the supermarkets, then we're going to see another drop of equal proportions, maybe more. As our production's gone down, imports have gone up. And we know from all the work that we've done that 70% of those imports would be illegal to produce in the UK on the grounds of animal welfare.
Henk Hobbelink has received an alternative Nobel Prize for his work to support small-scale farming and biodiversity-based food systems across the world.
The destruction, the unmantling of integrated farming systems, where everything is produced on the farm and the inputs needed on the farm are produced on the farm as well, has happened in a conscious and planned way in Europe. Mostly directed through the Common Agriculture Policy created in Brussels. And the mechanisms that were used were subsidies oriented towards the biggest farms and the corporations who benefit from this new system. And through the destruction and the undermining the destruction of peasantry or small farming systems in Europe. The justification, which we often have heard over the past 3 decades, about this system: it's more productive, it produces more food for the growing population in the world, and it's healthy, it's clean. In reality, what has happened is it has turned Europe, led by the corporations, by the agribusiness, into a huge export machinery of dairy, of pigs, of chickens, poultry, etc., etc. This doesn't feed the world. This is actually destroying the productive capacity in many poor countries, in many parts of the world, where farmers still produce the way my father did, integrated farming.
As the damage caused by factory farms becomes ever more evident, so people across the EU are taking to the streets.
Yes, these are files of lots of people who have done demonstrations, etc., reactions to their governments, and we are collecting the files and bringing them to the national government to make clear what moves us.
Dat blijkt ook uit diverse opinieonderzoeken die er dit jaar gehouden zijn. Vorige maand is er een gepubliceerd die gemaakt is op verzoek van het Rijk. Begin dit jaar heeft Milieudefensie een onderzoek laten doen en uit beide opiniepeilingen blijkt dat de meerderheid van de Nederlandse bevolking geen veefabrieken wil.
En de burgers het nakijken hebben, betekent dat er nu een groot stal gebouwd wordt op slechts 50 meter van mijn huis. Nou ja, dan heb ik het gevoel dat ik voor het in die varkensstal leef. Naast het feit van die antibiotica is het ook erg slecht voor de leefomgeving, want het stinkt bij ons wekelijks, elke nacht. De ene nacht meer dan de andere nacht, maar vannacht ben ik weer 1,5 uur wakker geweest en rondgelopen met deodorant om maar te proberen die lucht te verspreiden zodat ik weer kan slapen. Zelfs dat is toch niet goed voor de mensen en men moet dat niet willen. Daar blijft van het landschap buiten de steden helemaal niks over op deze manier.
Mega farms are getting increasingly unpopular in Holland. As you can see at this protest, people don't want them anymore. They're too big, they cause too much animal suffering and too much damage to the environment. And we don't need cheap meat, we need quality meat. But in the Netherlands there's so many mega farms and there's more coming. But there's also a limit that's how big a farmer can grow here. And some farmers have reached that limit and they are now moving abroad to Eastern European countries to build mega farms over there. Because there they're less restricted, there are less environmental rules, there are less rules about animal welfare, about antibiotics. So there they can grow what they can't do here.
Ik vrees dat het Nederlandse landbouwsysteem dat het op dit moment geëxporteerd wordt naar andere Europese landen, Polen, Roemenië, Hongarije, de nieuwe lidstaten van de Europese Unie. En dat is heel slecht, want eigenlijk de fouten die we hier gemaakt hebben, die worden nu geëxporteerd naar die landen. Terwijl we eigenlijk zouden moeten leren van de landbouw is daar duurzamer dan hier in Nederland. zouden eigenlijk zeg maar, op hun manier moeten werken en ervoor moeten zorgen dat varkens, koeien, dat die grond hebben, niet alleen de stal, maar ook grond hebben om uit te lopen.
In 1992, the World Bank lent $264 million of taxpayer-guaranteed funds to, and I quote, increase the Hungarian meat sector's ability to export. This had the catalyst effect of attracting private investors from abroad, which further industrialized Hungarian livestock farming. At an organic farming conference, the State Secretary at the Ministry of Rural Development spoke about the corporate theft of the livelihoods of millions of small-scale Hungarian farmers.
Hogy tudniillik egyfajta modern kétpártiság van a világban, ahol az egyik oldalon állnak a globális tőkeérdekek, nem több mint 2000 családám, aki az erőforrásokat és a javakat a kezében tartja a világon, és a helyi rezidenseik, akik előkészítik a terepet. Ezt brutálisan éljük meg Magyarországon a rendszerváltás kapcsán, egészen brutálisan éljük meg. És a másik oldalon állnak a helyi közösségek, meg a természet a saját érdekeivel és értékeivel.
The industrialization of pig farms continues to be funded by the EU Rural Development Fund, with, for example, in 2010, €400,000 subsidy going to this privately owned Dutch farm in Konya, in northern Hungary. Please, could you tell me why this factory farm here is disturbing your lives?
Aljas módon becsaptak minket, megkárosítottak minket, és ne engedjék azt, hogy a saját tulajdonuk, a saját lakóhelyüket közelébe ilyen telep épüljön, mert amikor az ember dolgozik, elfárad, és szeretne kicsit a saját kis otthonába, zugába megpihenni, mi ezt nem tudjuk. Mert nem lehet. Csukott ajtónál meg tudom tenni, sokszor az ablakot sem tudom kinyitni, hiába olyan meleg van oda bent, és szeretném kinyitni az ablakot, de nem tudom, mert kint jön a bűz. Szóval ne higgyenek senkinek, és ne engedjenek. És az a rengeteg légy, ami egyfolytában az ember így ül ki. Szóval ez nem pihenés, ez nem kiülés a saját tulajdonomba azért, hogy ő ide jöjjön és meggazdagodjon.
És azt, hogy hány sertés van, soha többé nem látja senki a telepen, mert azóta senki nem teheti be a lábát. Tehát a tájékoztató óta ott a kapunál, azért nem akarok háborút, hogy közelebb megyünk, mert mindenért szólnak, mert most már ők az urak a mi területünkön. Tehát ők diktálják a szabályokat, mi mindennel csak sértjük. És akárhova fordulunk, azt is aláírtuk, az igaz, hogy beleegyezünk. Magyarországon változnak a törvények azt szerint, hogy jön a lé a külfölditől. Ennyi. Úgyhogy nekik van igazuk, mindig. Nem? Azért mondom, ami törvény volt, hogy nem lehet ennyire, az attól, hogy beleegyeztem, vagy mindentől megváltozik, mindegy. Tehát a külföldi befektető sokkal előrébb való, mint a magyar állampolgár a saját földjén.
Az ilyen típusú beruházások, ezek az iparszerű nagy állattartó telepek, ezeknek semmi közük a vidék fejlesztéséhez. Hát nem csak környezeti problémáik vannak, hanem az ilyen típusú fejlesztések nem adnak munkát az embereknek a környezetükben. Az extra profit ígérete ezekben a beruházásokban épp abban van, hogy a haszon az a befektetőnél van, de az összes társadalmi kára a dolognak, a költségei, úgynevezett externáliái, külső költsége úgy mondja, az a társadalomra kiterített. Az egészségügyi, foglalkoztatási, környezeti, szociális problémákat nem az viseli, aki a hasznot megszerzi, a befektető. Ez a gazdasági gyarmatosításnak a lényeg egyébként.
Thanks to local opposition, construction works on another Dutch factory farm near Konya has been stopped by the local authorities, with only a fraction of the intended number of pigs in production.
We were not even given the chance to discuss this, to have an opinion on it, and to approve or to get into it or share it. So by the time we got the knowledge that this is gonna be a gigantic pig farm with more than 8,000 sows and nearly 240,000 of squealers, which is I think a huge number, Basically, we realized that we should protect our environment and we should protect our local farmers also and the local citizens.
So how do you think you could possibly stop this investment?
Well, I think our only way to stop this investment is from the local farmer side, is that we don't cooperate with the investor because they wanted to use our land to put out their liquid manure that they produce in this factory. Of course, we said no. Then we were immediately threatened by the investor that they will start to buy up the lands from the local farmers here. And of course, this is why we are concerned, because currently in Hungary we have a law that bans all the investors from buying up the lands, because only the local citizens and local farmers can buy the land. But this law will go out in 3 years' time according to EU regulations, and then everybody will be free to buy up the land.
Igen, a földvásárlási moratóriumot 3 évvel meghosszabbítottuk. Most járt volna le május 1-én Magyarországon a külföldiek és a társaságok földvásárlási moratóriuma. Ez persze nem oldja meg a problémát, ez időt ad viszont arra, hogy kidolgozzuk azokat a föltételeket, amelyekkel meg fogjuk védeni a magyar földet a spekulációtól.
A neighbouring farmer told me why he was refusing to allow the pig factory waste to be spread on his land.
Azért kell megakadályozni először is, mert olyan mérhetetlenül nagy tömegbe tartják az állatot, és olyan súlygyarapodást követelnek meg a teleptől, ami csak, fogalmazunk úgy, hogy túlzott antibiotikum kezeléssel oldható meg, és ezek ugye nehezen bomlanak le, és megjelennek a hígtrágyába és elmennek a földbe, és nem tudjuk, beláthatatlan következni. A másik, ahhoz, hogy 2,2-es kocaforgót tudjanak tartani, 18 vagy 21 napra le kell választani a malacot. Na most, ha tejlázra nem búg a koca, akkor női hormonokkal kell kezelni, hogy tudják tartani a 2,2-es kocaforgót. Most tudjuk, hogy a női hormonok, akár az antibébi egyebek megjelennek a vízbe és megjelennek a földbe, meg fognak jelenni, időkérdése a növényekbe, és beláthatatlan következményei lehetnek. A harmadik dolog, nem kontrollálható, mivel ő saját maga, vagy az ő megbízottja szórja ki a hígtrágyát, nem kontrollálható exakt módon, és utólag már csak a kárt fogjuk érzékelni.
A local resident explained how much the community will suffer if this project goes ahead.
Képzeljük azt el, hogy ez a gazdaság 18 ember foglalkoztatásával fog megtermelni kb. 150 000 sertést egy évbe. Hogyha ezt 100 sertést előállító kis gazdaságokra vetítjük át, akkor az számításaink szerint olyan 1400 család megélhetését biztosítaná. Ez az 1400 család most el fog esni ettől a munkától, és a megtermelt hús minősége is rosszabb lesz, mintha ezt egy kis gazdaság termelné meg. Ez egy nagy probléma. A másik jelentős probléma a beszállítói kör. A tulajdonos kinyilvánította azt, hogy neki esze ágába sincs ezeket a sertéseket, az itt megtermelt sertéseket Magyarországon eladni, erre Szlovéniával van szerződése, tehát ez a 140 000 sertés, ez Szlovéniába távozna. Tehát tulajdonképpen Magyarországon csak a bűz, a trágya maradna. A kiuttatott hígtrágya a földekre kikerülve veszélyezteti ezt a vízbázist, ami itt alattunk is van. Itt alattunk egy olyan nagy vízbázis van, hogy 200 000 ember ivóvíz készletét hivatott biztosítani.
Ugye a környezetvédelem már ismeri ezt a fogalmat, amikor azt mondja, hogy a szennyező fizet. Tehát aki a társadalomra terheket tesz, az elhárítás költségeit, ezeket nevezzük externáliáknak, azt neki kell fizetnie. Tehát vagy megvont támogatásokkal, vagy kivetett adók formájában vissza kell szedjük azt a pénzt, amit arra fordítunk, hogy az általa okozott károkat helyreállítsuk. És mindjárt nem lesz versenyképes az, ami így versenyképesnek látszik.
At the beginning of the 90s, we had more than 10 million pigs in Hungary. Nowadays we only have 3 million. This 10 million was coming mainly from the local citizens had 1 or 2, maybe 3 pigs around the household. Everybody has a small building at the backyard. What we could do here is that we could have even 500 pigs in those on this farm. The situation is that compared to the foreign investor who will have 8,000 sows and 240,000 of squealers, it's small. But still, we think that with more than 500 pigs, we could support the local market. Everything would stay local, even the investment, even the benefit from the investment. And compared to the huge investment at Környe, for sure that this scale of production is for global investment and for global money. It's not for the local area, that's for sure. What you are going to see in this small part is that two special traditional Hungarian breed of pigs. It's called Mongolica in Hungarian, and it's a pretty fat one. They're pretty similar for the wild animals, so you can keep them outside also.
On the outskirts of the village of Olengiel, another Dutch pig company, Holland, has plans to build a mega pig farm. A £3.5 million subsidy from the EU, earmarked for the project, was withdrawn when the local residents succeeded in getting the building permit refused.
Gyakorlatilag két lakossági fórum is volt a sertéstelep ügyében, és mind a két lakossági fórumnak a vége az lett, hogy a Olengiel település lakossága egyértelműen a sertéstelep megépítése ellen volt. Innentől kezdve akár a polgármesternek, akár a képviselőtestületnek nem volt más feladata, mint hogy minden áron megakadályozza ezt a sertéstelepet. Az egységes környezethasználati engedély visszavonásához pedig nem kellett más, mint hogy az ő általuk benyújtott hígtrágya befogadó helyeket visszavonassuk az adott nyilatkozatot tevő gazdával.
A vendéglátást ugye itt a faluban próbálják fejleszteni. Ezt egy olyan területen, ahova éppen kihelyezik a hígtrágyát, azért nehéz lenne elképzelni. Viszonylag minimalizálni lehet a környezeti károsodásokat, de itt azt hiszem, hogy erről azért szó sincs. Lehet, hogy ott zárt a rendszer, de amíg kihelyezik a trágyát, ami bekerülhet az ivóvízbe is, ami bekerülhet vele a hormonok, esetlegesen antibiotikumok, bármi, az nekem nem kell. Itt tiszta a víz. Maradjon is ilyen.
Along with the banks and corporations, foreign-owned supermarkets, in their search for the very cheapest pork, are driving the industrialization of pig farming. We as consumers can influence farming practices by only buying high welfare pork, but you'd rarely find this in a supermarket, although the labels try to tell you otherwise. Now the picture of pigs grazing outside looks like that this product has come from outdoor reared pigs, but there's nowhere on the label that says it has come from an organic or free-range farm. So I presume it's come from a factory farm. Misleading? I would prefer that our food policies are decided locally, but unfortunately they're not even decided nationally. They're decided in the European Parliament here by our MEPs. But it is possible to change our food system by informed consumer choices and by supporting the politicians who are looking for more local production for local consumption. One such MEP is José Bové, once a farmer himself and former spokesman for Via Campesina, which represents 150 small-scale farmers' organizations from 70 countries. He's now battling for farmers' rights in the European Parliament.
Qu'on stoppe la concentration et qu'on intègre à la fois le bien-être animal, la question de la santé et la question environnementale à l'intérieur de ce système de production. Si cela est intégré dans le système de production, ce type d'ateliers gigantesques industriels ne pourront pas continuer. Donc il faudra interdire de manière claire l'élevage industriel concentrationnaire à l'intérieur de l'Europe.
Annyit mondanék még, hogy ezt be kell fejezni a világnak, és az élelmiszereinket helyben kell megtermelni. Mindenütt, és elégséges élelmiszert lehet így ezzel a rendszerrel is előállítani. Évszázadokon keresztül ez mindig így működött, ide kell visszatérjen a gondolkodás. A világ számára az egyedüli megoldásnak az látszik, hogyha az élelmiszereket, az alapvető élelmiszereket kivesszük az áruk szabad áramlása kategóriájából, és az élelmiszer önrendelkezés lehetőségét vezetjük be a nemzetek számára.
In exasperation, Professor Angian recently resigned from government because banks and agri-industry lobbyists were undermining policies which would have protected small farms and rural communities. So it's up to us, consumers, to keep money in the local economy by buying food from traditional small-scale farmers at farmers' markets like this one in Budapest.
A sertéseket a részben orban tartjuk, zárt betonorban, a mangalicákat pedig szabadon bekerített részben. Hát magasabb minőségű nyilván, mivel a szupermarketben nem pácolják, nem pörzsölik, ott ilyen gyors pácos, gyors füstös van, ez pedig teljesen rendesen pácolt és házilag füstölt.
Igen, a szüleim és a feleségemmel együtt csináljuk ezt a gazdaságot. Én szerintem lényegesen magasabb a hús minősége, mint a szupermarketben vásárolt hús, mivel hogy itt az állatokat nem 4 hónap alatt nagyüzemileg állítjuk elő, hanem 8-9 hónap alatt hízlaljuk fel, és nem kapnak semmiféle mesterséges anyagot.
Őstermelők vagyunk is, háztáit, kukoricát kapunk, és akkor abból egy 3-4 darabot fölnevelünk, nem olyan sokat. Kipróbálják, finom ízik neki, és visszajönnek.
You can bring an end to factory farming by demanding that supermarket pork has labels that describe how the pig was raised. Meanwhile, go to your farmers' markets, where the farmer will tell you where and how the pork was produced. Ask restaurants, sandwich bars and canteens to provide high welfare pork. To avoid diseases from overconsumption of meat like obesity, heart disease, diabetes and cancer, eat less but better quality meat. Lobby your politician too. Introduce mandatory country of origin and method of production labelling. Enforce welfare legislation. Restrict the overuse of antibiotics. Source high welfare pork for public bodies.